The late afternoon sun filtered through the blinds of the Carter family's new home on Pinewood Drive, casting golden slats across the living room. Emily Carter unpacked another box, the faint ache of moving day lingering in her shoulders while her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, giggled upstairs. It was a sound Emily had missed. Lily had been quiet since they left the city, her usual chatter replaced by a shy stillness in this creaky old house. Talking to her friend again, Emily muttered, smiling faintly. Lily's imaginary playmate, Mimi, had been her constant since she was 3, a comfort through the divorce, the move. She climbed the stairs, the wood groaning underfoot, and peeked into Lily's room. The girl sat cross-legged on the rug, a tea party of mismatched cups spread before her, whispering to the air. Mimi says the cookies are yummy, Lily said, beaming up at Emily. She wants more. Emily chuckled, ruffling her dark curls. Tell Mimi we'll bake some tomorrow, okay? Lily nodded, turning back to her invisible guest, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial murmur. Downstairs, Emily resumed unpacking plates, books, a photo of her and Lily at the beach until dusk settled, painting the house in soft shadows. She called Lily for dinner, the scent of spaghetti wafting through, and they ate at the small kitchen table, Lily chattering about Mimi's day. She likes the attic, Lily said, twirling noodles. Says it's cozy. Emily raised an eyebrow, amused. The attic? Tell her it's dusty and full of spiders. Lily giggled, shrugging. She doesn't mind. After dinner, Emily tucked Lily into bed, the room glowing with a star-shaped nightlight. Good night, sweetie, she said, kissing her forehead. Good night, Mommy. Good night, Mimi, Lily replied, her eyes drifting shut. Emily smiled, closing the door, the house settling into its nighttime hum, pipes clanking, wind brushing the eaves. She poured a glass of wine, sank onto the couch, and let the quiet wash over her, the stress of the move easing. It was past midnight when she woke, the wine glass empty on the table, a chill prickling her skin. A sound, soft, rhythmic, pulled her upright. A faint tap-tap-tap from upstairs. Mice, she thought, groaning, but it was too steady, too deliberate. She grabbed her phone, its flashlight beam shaky, and climbed the stairs, heart thudding louder than her steps. Lily's door was ajar, the nightlight flickering, and the tapping stopped as she pushed it open. Lily slept soundly, curled under her blanket, her breaths even. Emily exhaled, relief loosening her shoulders, until her beam caught the wall above the bed. Handprints, small and smudged, dotted the pale blue paint, their edges wet, glistening in the light. Not Lily's. Too tiny, too narrow, the fingers elongated, pressed in a muddy brown that wasn't crayon or marker. Emily's stomach lurched. She touched one, the dampness cool, gritty, like soil mixed with something slick. It smeared under her fingertip, a faint scent of damp earth rising. She shook Lily awake, voice tight. Honey, did you draw on the wall? Lily blinked, sleepy and confused. No, Mommy. Mimi did it. She wanted to say hi. Emily's breath caught, the words icing her spine. Mimi's not real, sweetie, she said, forcing calm. She can't make marks. Lily frowned, sitting up. She is real. She's my friend. She lives here. Emily scanned the room, the handprints stark. Too many. Dozens trailing from the bed to the window, some overlapping, chaotic. She pulled Lily close, heart racing. Stay here, she whispered, grabbing a rag from the bathroom and wiping the wall. The prints smeared, staining the cloth, but more appeared as she scrubbed. Faint at first, then bold, pressing through the paint like bruises surfacing on skin. Stop it, she hissed, dropping the rag, her hands trembling. The nightlight flickered again, dimming, and a giggle, not Lily's, echoed soft and high from the corner. Emily spun, phone beam swinging, but the corner was empty, just toys, shadows. Lily tugged her sleeve, eyes wide. Mimi's happy you see her, she said, voice small. She wants to play more. Emily scooped her up, fleeing downstairs, the giggle chasing them, faint but real. On the couch, Lily in her lap, she stared at the ceiling, the handprints burned into her mind. Mimi wasn't imaginary, not anymore. Something was here, and it was leaving its mark. Emily clutched Lily on the living room couch, the night stretching thin around them, the house's quiet pierced by the memory of that giggle, high, sharp, not her daughter's. The handprints on Lily's wall, small, muddy, impossibly real, clawed at her thoughts, defying the logic she'd clung to since the divorce. Mimi, Lily's imaginary friend, wasn't just a child's fancy anymore. She'd left marks, spoken, laughed. Emily's phone lay beside her, its flashlight off to save the battery, the wineglass a silent witness to her unraveling calm. Lily slept, her head on Emily's chest, oblivious to the tension coiling in her mother's frame. Emily didn't dare move, eyes darting to the stairwell, half expecting those tiny hands to creep down the banister. The clock ticked past 3 a.m., each minute heavier, and she fought the urge to call someone, her ex, Mark? Her mom, but what would she say? Lily's playmates real and smearing mud on my walls? They'd think she'd cracked, and maybe she had. Dawn crept in, gray and soft, and Emily eased Lily onto the cushions, slipping upstairs. The handprints remained, stark against the blue paint more than last night, some trailing to the ceiling, others clustering by the window as if something had pressed against the glass. She grabbed a bucket, soap, and a sponge, scrubbing hard, the muddy smears dissolving into brown water that dripped onto the floor. But as she wiped, new prints bloomed faint, then bold, pressing through the wet wall, a giggle echoing behind her. She spun, sponge dripping, but the room was empty, Lily's toys still, the nightlight steady now. "Leave us alone," she whispered, voice trembling, and the giggle stopped, replaced by a soft hum, childlike but wrong, threading through the air. Downstairs, Lily stirred, calling Mommy. Emily bolted down, heart pounding, and found her daughter sitting up, rubbing her eyes. "Mimi's singing," Lily said, smiling. "She likes you." Emily's skin prickled. "Honey, Mimi's not real, she can't sing or make marks." Lily's smile faded, her brow furrowing. "She is real. She's my friend, she's always here." Emily knelt, gripping her shoulders. "Did you see her do the handprints?" Lily shook her head. "No, she does it when I'm asleep. Says it's a game." "A game?" Emily's stomach twisted. "What else does she say?" Lily tilted her head, thinking. "She lives in the walls. Wants me to stay forever." The words iced Emily's veins. She forced a smile, hiding her panic. "Let's get breakfast, okay? No more Mimi talk." Lily nodded, distracted by cereal, but Emily's mind raced. Walls, did that mean the attic, where Lily said Mimi liked to play? She needed proof, something tangible, before calling for help. After breakfast, she sent Lily to the backyard with crayons and paper, "Draw Mimi for me," and climbed to the attic, a flashlight in hand, the trapdoor creaking as she pushed it open. The attic was a dusty maze of boxes and cobwebs, the air thick with mildew. She swept the beam, searching, old furniture, Mark's forgotten golf clubs, nothing alive. Then, by the far wall, a glint, handprints, smaller than Lily's, smeared in that same muddy brown, circling a crack in the plaster, jagged and deep. She touched it, the edges damp, and a whisper hissed, "Emily, play with us." She yanked back, the flashlight shaking, and the crack widened, a tiny hand gray, thin, fingers too long, pushing through, leaving a fresh print. She stumbled back, the trapdoor slamming shut behind her, and ran downstairs, breath ragged. Lily sat outside, drawing, safe for now, but the attic's whisper clung to her, her name not just Lily's. In the kitchen, she checked the walls. More prints, faint but growing, trailing from the stairs to the living room, some smudged as if dragged. She grabbed a rag, wiping frantically, but they reappeared, faster. A giggle bubbling up from the floorboards. "You can't clean us away." Emily dropped the rag, hands trembling, and called Mark, her ex, voice low so Lily wouldn't hear. "Something's wrong here," she said, skipping pleasantries. "Lily's friend. It's leaving handprints, real ones. I'm not crazy." Mark's silence stretched. Then, "You're stressed. New house, new life. Imaginary friends don't." She cut him off, sharp. "Come see, then. Tonight. I need you to believe me." He sighed, reluctant. "Fine. After work. But this better not be a game." She hung up, staring at Lily's drawing through the window. A stick figure with long arms, gray scribbles for skin, smiling wide. "Mimi," Lily had labeled it, and beside it another figure. Emily holding hands with the gray thing. The whispers hummed again, closer. "We're family now." Emily locked the doors, dread pooling. She wasn't just protecting Lily anymore. Whatever Mimi was, it wanted them both. The Pinewood Drive house simmered with unease as dusk painted the sky orange. The handprints on the walls, a silent taunt Emily couldn't scrub away. She stood in the kitchen, watching Lily color at the table. Her latest drawing of Mimi, Gray, long-armed, smiling. Stacked with others, each more detailed, more real. The whispers had quieted since Mark's call, but the air buzzed, the prints spreading. Faint smudges now on the cabinets, the fridge, a trail leading upstairs. Emily locked every door, checked every window, her phone clutched tight, waiting for Mark to arrive. Lily hummed, oblivious, her crayons scraping paper. "Mimi's excited," she said, not looking up. "She likes Daddy coming." Emily's stomach nodded. Mark hadn't met Mimi, hadn't been part of Lily's stories since the divorce, yet the thing knew him. "What else does she say?" Emily asked, voice tight. Lily tilted her head, thinking, "He'll see her too. She wants us all to play." Emily forced a smile, hiding the chill creeping up her spine. "Let's wait for Daddy, then keep drawing." Headlights swept the driveway at 7 p.m., Mark's old sedan crunching gravel. He stepped out, tall and weary, his mechanic's hands stained with grease, skepticism etched in his frown. Emily met him at the door, Lily bounding behind. "Daddy," she squealed, hugging his legs. He ruffled her hair, eyes on Emily. "All right, Em, what's this about handprints?" She led him upstairs without a word, Lily trailing, and pointed to the wall above the bed, dozens of tiny, muddy marks, some fresh, glistening in the nightlight's glow. Mark's frown deepened, his hand brushing a print, smearing it. "Mud? Lily doing this?" he asked, glancing at their daughter. "No," Emily snapped, sharper than intended. "She's asleep when they show up, more come when I clean." In the attic, she stopped, the memory of that gray hand pushing through the crack too raw. Mark sighed, rubbing his neck. "Old house, maybe pipes leaking dirt? I'll check." He grabbed a flashlight from his car, practical as ever, but Emily saw the doubt flicker as he climbed the attic stairs. She followed, Lily at her heels, the trapdoor creaking open. The handprints circled the crack, more now, some overlapping, chaotic. Mark aimed his beam, grunting. "Plaster's wet, weird." He tapped the crack, and it widened, a soft giggle echoing, "Hi, not Lily's." He froze, flashlight shaking. "What the hell was that?" Emily gripped Lily's hand, voice low. "Mimi, she's not imaginary, talks, leaves marks." Mark turned, face pale. "That's not funny, Em." Before she could reply, a hand small, gray, too long, slid from the crack, smearing a fresh print. Mark stumbled back, cursing, the flashlight dropping. "Jesus, what?" The hand retreated, the giggle louder, and Lily piped up, "Mimi says hi, Daddy." Emily yanked her close, heart pounding. "She knows us, wants us, Mark." He grabbed the flashlight, beam swinging wild, but the crack was empty, just the prints, wet and bold. "This isn't pipes," he muttered, voice shaky. "What does it want?" Emily swallowed, echoing Lily's words. "To play, forever." They retreated downstairs, Mark silent, processing, Lily humming Mimi's tune. In the living room, he sank onto the couch, hands in his hair. "Okay, Em, say it's real. What do we do?" She paced, mind racing. "Salt, saw it in a movie, might keep it out. Light too. It's worse in the dark." Mark nodded, practical kicking in. "Got salt in the car, road kit. Lights we can rig." He fetched a bag of rock salt, pouring lines at the doors and windows, while Emily turned on every lamp, the house glowing. The prints slowed, but didn't stop. New ones crept along the stairwell, faint giggles threading the air. Lily yawned, curling on the couch, and Emily covered her, whispering, "Sleep, sweetie." Mark watched, tense. "She's not scared," he said low. "Why?" Emily's throat tightened. "She trusts it, thinks it's her friend." He rubbed his face, guilt flashing. "I wasn't here. Maybe it filled that." She shook her head, sharp. "Don't. It's not you. It's this house." Midnight struck, and the giggles sharpened, a tap-tap-tap on the walls. Mark grabbed a broom, jabbing the ceiling where prints bloomed fresh, wet, multiplying. "Stop it," he yelled, and the tapping paused, a whisper hissing, "Mark, play with us." He dropped the broom, pale. "It knows me." Emily nodded, dread pooling. "It's in the walls, attic, everywhere. We need more than salt." She grabbed Lily's drawings, studying them. Gray Mimi, long arms, always smiling, always close. "We trap it," Mark said, voice firm. "Lure it out, lock it somewhere. Attic, maybe." Emily hesitated, then agreed. Lily's its focus. Use her drawings, call it. They woke her gently, her eyes sleepy but bright. Honey, tell Mimi to come play here, Emily said, pointing to the salt circle. Lily nodded, whispering, Mimi, come see Daddy. The air thickened, a giggle rising, and the handprints surged, real, reaching, testing their fragile plan. The living room of the Pinewood Drive house glowed with every lamp Emily and Mark could find, a brittle shield against the thickening dark beyond the salt lines. Lily stood in the center of a hastily drawn circle of rock salt, her small voice echoing as she whispered, Mimi, come see Daddy. Her tone bright, trusting, oblivious to the tension coiling in her parents. The handprints surged, tiny, muddy, pressing through the walls, the ceiling, clustering around the stairwell like a swarm, their edges wet and glistening. A giggle rippled through the air, high and eager, and Emily's skin crawled, the broom trembling in her grip. Mark stood by the couch, his mechanic's hands clenched around a flashlight, its beam aimed at the salt circle. This better work, he muttered, eyes darting to the prints, now trailing down the stairs, some smudging as if dragged. Emily nodded, her throat tight. Lily's latest drawing, Mimi, gray and smiling, clutched in her hand. She's tied to Lily, wants her most. We lure her here, trap her. She taped the drawing to the coffee table, a baited hook, hoping Mimi's fixation would draw her out. The air grew heavy, the giggles sharpening into a hum, childlike but off-key, threading through the walls. Lily, play? A voice hissed, soft but clear, and the salt crackled, tiny grains shifting as if pushed. A shadow flickered. Not a print, but a shape, small, gray, its edges blurring, forming by the stairwell. Lily clapped, delighted. Mimi's here, she chirped, stepping toward the edge of the circle. Emily yanked her back, heart pounding. Stay inside, sweetie. She's just saying hi. Mark swung the flashlight, the beam catching the shape. Long arms, a void where a face should be, eyes glinting like wet pebbles. It giggled, darting back, but the prints multiplied, circling the room, some pressing against the windows, smearing the glass. Mark, Emily, Lily, all play. It whispered, voices overlapping, a chorus now. Mark cursed, stepping closer to the circle. What the hell is it? Emily's mind raced. Imaginary turned real, born from this house, from Lily's belief. It's Mimi, her friend, but more. Wants us all. The shadow grew bolder, slithering along the wall, its hand reaching gray thin, leaving a fresh print beside the drawing. Emily grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter, slashing at it. The blade passed through, the shadow fraying but reforming, giggling louder. Can't cut me, it taunted, and the salt line sizzled, a tendril testing it, recoiling with a hiss. Salt works, Mark said, pouring more, thickening the circle. Keep it out, addicts the trap. Their plan was shaky, lure Mimi upstairs, lock her in the attic where the crack in the wall pulsed with her presence. Emily grabbed Lily's hand, voice firm. Tell Mimi we're playing upstairs, hide and seek. Lily nodded, eyes bright. Mimi, let's play in the attic, find me. The shadow paused, tilting its head, then darted up the stairs, prints trailing like breadcrumbs, the giggle echoing. Hide, seek, fun. They followed, Mark with the salt bag, Emily with the knife and flashlight, Lily between them. The attic door creaked open, the crack in the plaster wider now, oozing mud, handprints radiating outward. The shadow Mimi hovered near it, gray and fluid, its eyes glinting. Found you, it whispered, lunging at Lily. Mark threw salt, a handful scattering across it. The shadow shrieked, splitting into smoke, reforming weaker. Now! Emily yelled, shoving Lily behind her, aiming the flashlight into the crack. The beam hit, the mud sizzling, and Mimi wailed, clawing at the light. No bright, it hissed, retreating into the crack, its form shrinking. Mark grabbed a plank from a broken crate, hammering it over the crack, nails biting deep, sealing it as the giggles turned to shrieks. Stay in there, he roared, pounding until the wood held, the prints fading, the hum dying to a faint buzz. They stumbled back, panting, Lily clinging to Emily's leg. Is she gone? She asked, voice small. Emily knelt, brushing her curls. She's stuck, sweetie, in the attic. Can't play anymore. Mark wiped sweat from his brow, flashlight steady on the plank. That hold? He asked, doubtful. Emily nodded, uncertain. For now, salt and light hurt her. We need more, something permanent. The house settled, the prince still, but a tap-tap-tap came from the sealed crack, soft, persistent, a reminder Mimi wasn't gone, just caged. Downstairs, they reinforced the salt lines, kept the lights blazing, Lily sleeping between them on the couch. Mark stared at the ceiling, voice low. What is she, Ghost? Demon? Emily shook her head, clutching Lily's drawing. Something Lily made real, fed by this place, her trust. We've got to break that. The tap grew fainter, but as dawn neared, a new print bloomed, small, muddy, on the living room wall outside the circle. Mimi was trapped but reaching, and Emily knew time was thin and the game wasn't over. The Pinewood Drive house glowed with artificial daylight, every lamp and flashlight blazing, salt lines thick around the living room where Emily, Mark, and Lily huddled on the couch. The attic was sealed, Mimi's crack nailed shut with a plank, her shrieks silenced, but a single handprint, small and muddy, had bloomed on the wall outside the salt circle, a quiet defiance. Emily clutched Lily's drawing, Mimi's gray, smiling form, her hands trembling, while Mark gripped the flashlight, its beam aimed at the print as if daring it to move. Dawn was hours away, and the tap-tap-tap from the attic lingered, faint but relentless. Lily slept between them, her breath soft, her trust in Mimi unshaken despite the night's chaos. She's still here, Emily whispered, voice raw. Trapped but reaching through the walls, through her. Mark nodded, his jaw tight, the mechanic's practicality fraying. Salt and light slow it, nailing it up worked for now. But that print, he pointed, the muddy smear glinting wet. It's not done. What does it want, Em? She swallowed, echoing Lily's words, us forever. A family. The thought chilled her, Mimi wasn't just a playmate. She was a claim, born from Lily's imagination, fed by the house's dark corners. Emily's mind raced, piecing it together. She's tied to Lily's belief. Started as pretend, got real here. We break that, maybe we break her. Mark frowned, skeptical but desperate. How? Tell Lily she's fake? She won't buy it, not after this. Emily shook her head, glancing at the drawing. Not fake, gone. We make her leave, convince Lily she's moved on. A plan formed, fragile but sharp. Her drawings, they're her link, Emily said, standing. We burn them, tell Lily Mimi's going away, salt the ashes, seal it. Mark grabbed the salt bag, nodding. Attic 2, more salt, nails? Starve it out. They moved quietly, leaving Lily curled under a blanket, her soft snores a lifeline. In the kitchen, Emily gathered the drawings, dozens now, Mimi's gray form in every one, and piled them in the sink, her hands shaking as she struck a match. The paper flared, smoke curling, and a giggle hissed from the walls. No, no, mine. The handprints surged, new ones pressing through the cabinets, the floor, frantic and wet. Mark threw salt, scattering it across the sink, and the flames leapt higher, the drawings charring to ash. Go away, Mimi. Emily shouted, voice breaking, and the giggles turned to a wail, sharp and fading. The prints slowed, some smearing into streaks, but a shadow flickered, small, gray, darting from the stairwell, clawing at the salt circle. Mark swung the flashlight, the beam slicing through, and the shadow frayed, shrieking, retreating upstairs. Attic, he yelled, grabbing a hammer and nails from his toolbox. They raced up, the trapdoor trembling, the plank bowing as if pushed. Emily poured salt, a thick layer, while Mark hammered more nails, sealing it tight, the tap-tap-tap weakening to a scratch. Stay in there, he growled, sweat beading, and the house stilled, the prints fading, the air lighter, but not safe. Back downstairs, Lily stirred, rubbing her eyes. Where's Mimi? She asked, voice small. Emily knelt, heart pounding, the lie ready. She had to go, sweetie, her family needed her somewhere else. We said goodbye. Lily's lip trembled, tears welling. Forever. Mark crouched, gentle. Yeah, kiddo. She's happy now, but she can't stay. Lily sniffed, nodding slowly, and Emily hugged her, relief warring with doubt. We burned her pictures. She's gone, she whispered, hoping it stuck. The day dragged, the house bright but tense. Mark stayed, rigging more lights, salting every corner, while Emily watched Lily. Quiet now, drawing flowers, no gray figures. The prints didn't return, the walls clean, but a chill lingered, a whisper too faint to catch. Night fell, and they slept in the living room, lights blazing, salt refreshed. At midnight, Emily woke to a soft tap. Not the attic, but Lily's room, the door ajar. She crept up, flashlight in hand, and froze. Handprints, faint and dry, circling the bed, a giggle humming low. Lily's mine. She ran back, shaking Mark awake. She's not gone. Lied to Lily, but it's still here. His face hardened, grabbing the hammer. Attic again, something's left. They climbed, Lily asleep below, and pried the plank loose. The crack oozed mud, a toy inside, gray and broken. A doll Lily had loved, lost years back. Her anchor, Emily gasped, yanking it out. The giggles surged, a shadow lunging. Mimi, weaker, eyes dim. Mark smashed it with the hammer, salt flying, and it wailed, dissolving into ash, the cracked ceiling dry. The house sighed, the prince gone, the hum silent. That it? Mark asked, breathless. Emily nodded, clutching the flashlight. Think so, Lily's ties cut. But as they returned to the couch, a final print bloomed. Tiny, faint on Lily's hand, asleep and still. Mimi's claim lingered, fragile but real. The Pinewood Drive house shimmered with the harsh glow of floodlights and lamps. A fragile sanctuary as Emily stared at the tiny, faint handprint on Lily's sleeping hand. Muddy, dry now, a whisper of Mimi's lingering claim. The attic crack was sealed. The gray doll Lily's lost toy. Smashed and salted, its ashes scattered, the drawings burned, yet this mark remained, a thread unbroken. Mark sat beside her, hammer resting on his knee, his breath shallow, the night pressing in. We got her anchor, he said, voice tight. Why's it still on her? Emily's chest ached, realization dawning. It's Lily, she hasn't let go, not all the way. The clock glowed 2:17 a.m., the house silent but tense, the salt lines intact, the walls clean, except for that print. Emily brushed Lily's curls, her daughter's trust in Mimi, a tether they'd frayed but not severed. We burned everything, told her Mimi's gone, she whispered, piecing it together. But deep down, she still believes, still wants her friend. Mark rubbed his face, exhaustion cracking his resolve. She's 5, Em, how do we make her stop? Emily's throat tightened, a final plan forming. We give her something else, replace Mimi, end it for good. She grabbed a stuffed bear from Lily's toy bin, new, soft, untainted by the house, and woke her gently, her eyes sleepy but clear. Honey, Mimi's really gone now, Emily said, voice firm but warm. Her family took her far away, she left you this to keep you safe. She handed Lily the bear, its brown fur a stark contrast to Mimi's gray. Lily clutched it, frowning. She's not coming back? Mark knelt, steady. No, kiddo, she's happy where she is. This bear's your friend now. Lily's lip quivered, but she nodded, hugging it tight. Okay. Bye, Mimi. A giggle hissed, soft, from the walls, and the handprint on Lily's hand flared, wet for a heartbeat, then faded, ash flaking off, drifting to the floor. Emily's breath caught, relief flooding her, the belief was breaking. She's letting go, she whispered, and Mark poured salt over the ash, grinding it into the rug with his boot. The air lightened, the buzz gone, and they sat, watching Lily drift back to sleep, the bear in her arms, no prints blooming. Dawn crept in, gray and calm, and Mark checked the attic. The crack dry, the plank solid, no mud, no taps. Gone? He asked, flashlight steady. Emily nodded, clutching Lily's clean hand. Think so, her ties cut, replaced. They slept, Lily between them, the house quiet, its creaks just would now, not whispers. Morning brought normalcy, Lily woke, chattering about the bear, naming it Brownie, no mention of Mimi. Emily watched, hope warring with vigilance, while Mark rigged more lights, a silent promise to stay. Days passed, the house bright, the salt lines refreshed but untested. Emily unpacked, Mark visited, Lily played, her drawings flowers and bears, no gray figures. The walls stayed clean, the attic silent, but Emily found a photo in a box, Lily, 3, with the gray doll, the house blurry behind her. Pinewood Drive, before they'd left, before returning. She started here, she murmured, showing Mark. His jaw tightened. Imagination? Ghost? She shook her head, burning the photo, salt on the ashes. Lily made her, the house fed her, we starved her out. They decided to move a new house, no history, no cracks. The sale was quick, the buyers unbothered by the old place's quirks. Packing the last box, Emily paused, Mark lifting it, Lily skipping ahead with Brownie. A faint tap echoed, not the attic, but the walls, a sigh too soft to catch. She locked the door, flashlight in hand, and left, the handprints gone, Mimi's claim severed. The new house gleamed, modern, bright, no shadows to hide in. Lily thrived, her chatter free of invisible friends, the bear her constant now. Weeks later, Emily woke to Lily whispering in the night, not to Mimi, but Brownie, a sleepy goodnight. She flicked the light on, saw nothing, and smiled, tension easing. The dark stayed empty, the bond broken, but as she turned off the lamp, a faint smudge caught her eye on the bear's paw, dry and brown, a shadow of a print, too small to be sure. She wiped it, salted it, and locked it away, heart steady. Mimi was gone, Lily's friend, their nightmare, Reduced to a memory, a mark they'd erased for now.